So for everyone joining us live, we're having a fun discussion today with Jesse McCulloch. He is the owner of a HoloLens development studio called Rourke Software, and he'll tell us a little bit more about that. You might notice Jesse's camera is a little bit zoomed in. I don't think there's too much I can do about that right now, but you'll be able to hear his voice and see a zoomed in version of Jesse. But it should be a fun conversation regardless. So, I wanted to have this video about, how to become a HoloLens developer. And I think there's no better person to talk to about this than Jesse because he has such a fun story. And I won't steal his thunder. I'll let him talk a little bit about that. But Jesse, do you want to introduce yourself really quick? Maybe tell people about, maybe where you are right now and a little bit of background.
Yeah, you bet. So my story starts actually when the HoloLens got introduced by Alex Kipman. Prior to that, I was or am, yeah, was a software developer for a consulting company. I've been in software for about 8 years now. Self-taught developer. I started off in tech support and for a software company, and taught myself how to originally run SQL so that I could run custom reports for some of our customers.
Mm.
I thought that was a lot of fun, and at that point decided that I wanted to learn coding. So I talked to my manager, and they said buy a book. The software we were running at that point was VB6 at web application. So
Nice.
I was getting ready to start that, and they said, "Oh no, don't learn VB6. That's not going to be useful for you." So they pointed me in the direction of C Sharp, and I got some books and started going to some user group conferences and stuff locally here in Portland, and didn't understand a single thing that anybody was talking about for the first few months. But I figured if I showed up enough, at some point things would click, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's what they were talking about."
Hmm.
So so I started teaching myself C Sharp in my off time, and then started doing little small projects that the actual development team at the company didn't really have time for or couldn't really put their focus onto.
Hmm.
Um, and so that helped me get a little bit of experience with writing actual applications and utilities. And then after that, they didn't really have a development spot for me at that company, so I started looking elsewhere. And then I landed at a uh,
I think you cut out just for a little bit there, Jesse. The last thing
consulting
I heard you say
company.
was you landed at A, and then you cut out for a bit. So if you could repeat that
Oh,
part,
yep, sorry about that.
no problem.
Yeah, so I landed at a consulting company that did research compliance software
Okay.
um, a little over 6 years ago, and I've been there up until last month when I decided to pull the trigger on becoming a full-time and stuff. Like I mentioned earlier, I was actually at work and watching the Windows 10 announcement when Alex Kipman came up on stage and announced the HoloLens and
Yeah.
kind of blew everybody away.
Oh man, yeah.
That was a big year because they announced HoloLens and the Surface Hub,
Hmm.
all and Windows 10 all in the same event. So I was that was kind of a mind-blowing day. I kept running around work showing everybody videos and stuff.
What did you think when you first saw that video? Did you believe that it was real? Were you skeptical?
No, I was totally skeptical. I didn't believe it was
As
real
was I. Yeah.
until uh,
I think there's a
the
little bit
thing that
of
this wasn't.
lag, Jesse.
Uh,
Not sure if that the video link I sent you, if you clicked on it or you're watching that. So I'm not sure why. So I'm getting some reports from people saying that the audio is laggy. It's not a problem. That this is normal for kind of Skype calls and YouTube videos. So we'll just kind of go forward and do the best we can. But just in case we had something running up, just wanted to.
yeah, let me make sure I don't have anything else going here real quick. close down some things.
And while he's looking at that, for everyone just joining us, this is Jesse McCulloch. We're going to be talking about his unique and fun story about how to become a HoloLens developer. Jesse he has a little bit of lag. I think I may have some lag too. If you experience issues, just write it in the comments and we'll do the best we can. Again, I'm aware that the camera's a little bit zoomed in, but we'll keep on going forward. It's a fun story. So yeah, go ahead, Jesse.
Okay, so I didn't believe the hype that was on stage until some of the tech bloggers that I follow got to go use it, and they made a big deal about saying they weren't getting to play with the version that we saw on stage, but it is a real thing, and it does work like they were showing. So I got really excited about that, and I was already running insider builds, and I had Cortana, and I've kind of been all in on the Microsoft stack for a long time. I have a Windows Phone, I have a Surface Pro, so I would consider myself a Microsoft fanboy. So I was really excited about all of this stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. So that day I went on Cortana and set up some news alerts on HoloLens and Windows Holographic, and I just wanted to be able to consume anything and everything that came across because I was super excited about how cool this thing looked.
Nice. And when was the first time you actually got to try the HoloLens?
So I didn't actually get to try it until I got mine.
Oh, really? That seems like a big risk.
Yes, it was. I'd heard enough people say that it was real that I was willing to take that risk, but I can tell you on the day that it showed up, I was very anxious that I had overhyped this thing in my head and it wasn't going to stand up to what I thought it was going to be.
Nice. Wow. Okay. So what was that? What was the moment that you decided, like, okay, I'm gonna buy the HoloLens. I'm gonna, like, what kind of commitment was that on your end?
So Microsoft had sent out a survey or an application for the developer kit, and it had like 5 questions on it, and the questions were things like, what awesomeness are you going to build with the HoloLens? And what ideas do you have for great programs? And I'm like, so I'm looking at this thing and I'm filling it out, and I'm like, I don't know. No, but I really want one. I don't know. I didn't have good answers to any of that stuff. And it's kind of for people who have used it, that moment that you put it on and see what it can do and you play around with it is really eye-opening.
It is, yes.
And until you do, you don't really have an understanding of what it's capable of and what it's not capable of, which is equally important.
Yep. Yep.
So I really didn't like the fact that questionnaire looked like that, or but I filled it out and I sent it in, and my thought was, okay, I am never going to get one of these things, or I'm going to be like the last person that gets one of these things because I don't have a clue what I'm going to do with it. Yeah, exactly. So, lo and behold, builds coming up, last year's builds coming up, they're getting ready to send out the first wave, and I get an email from Microsoft saying, hey, we're getting ready to send out the developer kits. Congratulations, you're in wave 1.
Wave 1, wow.
And I about fell over. I couldn't believe that. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Because you have for those people who got into wave 1, I mean, that's really a huge advantage to kind of get in early and provide feedback and, be among the first to start developing experiences.
Yeah, so they started shipping Wave 1 devices on the day of build last year, which was like March 30th or something like that. And I actually got my invitation to buy mine. So the way they did it is they put people in waves, but they didn't actually send you your purchase link until they actually had the device manufactured, and you had the option to buy up to 2 of them. So basically, they were sending out emails every week. Devices are ready. You can go purchase them. Great. So I got my email on like April 4th or 5th, something like that. And at that point, I was having a hard time with deciding whether I was actually going to buy one of these things.
You have the 10-day window, right?
Yeah, you have the 10-day window, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is like a
Yeah.
$3,000 purchase, and I have no app idea. If I had this idea for a killer app that I could put in the store and I was gonna make $3,000 on it, eventually it would have been a really easy decision. But that was not the case.
Hmm.
I didn't know what I wanted to do with this thing, and I had almost resigned myself to not getting one.
Oh, wow.
Um, and I couldn't get past the fact that I really wanted one. And so I was doing anything and everything I could to justify why I should get one. And my final justification, I realized that I didn't actually have to come up with a great app idea. I just had to learn how to program for this thing. And then other people would have app ideas and need programmers, and that was where I would make my money back. So that was kind of
Fantastic.
my justification for buying my HoloLens.
Yes,
Um, so
absolutely.
I,
So that's a great segue. So, okay, so you got your HoloLens. You had never tried it before you got it, and then I guess before we go into the segue, like tell us about those first few moments, like you unboxed it and then put it on.
yeah, so I had it shipped to my work, because I knew that that's where I would be on the day that it showed up,
You
and I
don't want
didn't really
somebody stealing that package. Yeah.
don't want somebody stealing it, and I didn't really want to wait at work knowing that it was at home because
Oh,
that
wow.
would have just been a torturous day. Um, so like I knew it was coming. I told my manager it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
It showed up, and everybody could have gathered around while I unboxed it. And when you get it, it's not like a typical dev kit that I've gotten before. I mean, the product looks like a commercial retail product.
Mm-hmm.
It's got an awesome box. It's all
Yeah.
shrink wrapped, and
Yep.
a very nice case. It's presented very well. You would not know that this is not a commercial product when you get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like buying
So,
a premium phone from Google or Apple or something.
yep, exactly. They did a very nice job on the presentation, which they didn't have to do being a dev kit, but
Yeah.
it was nice that they did. Um,
Awesome. Awesome.
so yeah, unboxed it, put it on, and I went through the setup, and I was blown away. And at that point, I told my manager, I was like, I'm here today, but I'm probably going to write most of this day off to vacation. And he's like, let me try it, and I'm fine with that. I'm like, okay. So,
Wow. Wow, that's fantastic. So, okay, so then so you tried it on, you were blown away, and you decided that you were going to justify the cost by basically becoming a HoloLens developer, right? And
yep.
so when did that journey officially start?
So it took me a couple weeks before I decided to pull the trigger and actually start learning to develop for it. And I
Hmm.
spent that couple of weeks just playing around with the different apps that they had.
Hmm.
At that point, there was like the Microsoft sponsored apps, and that was about it.
Mm-hmm.
So things like RoboRaid and um, Holo Tours, which Holo Tours is an amazing app. That's one of my favorite things to show to
Yeah.
people, just because it really blows them away.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Fragments, which is a super fun game,
Yep.
and very well done. And each of these different apps kind of shows off different specialties that the HoloLens has for, the spatial mapping and understanding and using your environment. They all do it in a little bit of a different way, which is, I think, was a smart move by Microsoft to put them out and have them there
Absolutely.
so that people could see those experiences and what it could be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, So yeah, a couple weeks of me just playing around with it, testing different stuff out, and then I started pulling the trigger on learning to dev for it. I had already installed all the tools before I ever even got it, when they announced them.
Hmm.
Um,
Wow.
and so kind of my first project was just, you know, simply putting a cube in space, in front of me and having it show up, when I deployed it to the HoloLens.
Nice. Instead of Hello World, it's Hollow World, right?
Yeah, exactly. I did a presentation on that not that long
Oh,
ago
really?
for our local .NET user group, and that's what I called it,
Nice.
Hello World Holographic Edition. And that was kind of what we did is I made a globe show up, in the world instead of the words Hello World. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. Okay, so as I mentioned at the beginning of this segment, so you have a company called Rourke Software, right? So
Yep.
you've got a full blown software. You've got clients. You're now officially a HoloLens developer. You've got a studio. So what was that transition like? Are you still at your company or?
So I'm there part-time 2 days a week. So back, I guess probably in last October, I signed up for a website called Upwork, which is a freelancer website where you can go in and put up a profile and search for companies that are looking for freelance, whatever, writers, designers, everything. They've kind of got it all.
Nice.
So I went on there and I put up a profile and I kind of started searching for some jobs and I just wanted to do some side work to start with. And I ended up getting a couple of contacts and leads and sending out, proposals to them. And kind of my first project was for a company in Singapore
Oh,
who
really?
wanted to do, yep, they wanted to do a proof of concept app similar to the Hollow Anatomy class or work that Case Western did with Microsoft.
Hmm.
But they wanted to focus just on the human heart and being able to show a human heart, rotate it, manipulate it, put labels in. Um, and so when they had asked for it, they also asked if I would be willing to procure them a HoloLens because they couldn't get one in Singapore
Hmm.
and didn't have any offices in the U.S. and the HoloLens was strictly U.S. and Canada at that time.
Yep.
Um, so after some negotiating, I told them, yeah, I'll get you a HoloLens. They paid me up front for it,
Nice.
and I was running all the numbers for what it would cost to ship it to them and everything, and it was going to be, you know, aside from the cost of the HoloLens and getting it to me, it was going to cost close to $1,000 for me to FedEx or UPS this
Wow.
HoloLens back to them in Singapore.
Wow.
So as I was working through the project, I was like, man, it'd probably be cheaper for me to just fly this
Yeah.
thing to them.
Yeah.
And so I looked at the price, and it was damn near the same price for me to fly it to them as it would be to ship it to them.
Uh-huh.
And so I made a proposal to them that if they covered my travel costs to my hotel and my flight, I would actually come out to them, hand deliver the HoloLens, spend a day with them at no charge for my time, um, and get
Wow.
them all set up with it. And they agreed to it. So
Wow, that
my
is
first,
awesome.
yeah, so my first project actually was included an international trip, and
Nice.
so I spent the whole trip was about a week, and about 3 days of that was my travel time. But um, yeah, I
That
got
is
to,
really exciting.
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So what kind of advice or tips do you have for all the viewers who are listening live and those will be listening to the recording later for getting started with HoloLens development, like with your story and people who are completely on the fence or they don't even know how to get into it, and they hear your story and it's, really exciting. It's exciting for me. What do you have to tell them? Where can they get started?
Yeah, so don't wait. That's my first piece of advice. This area is moving so fast
Oh
right now,
yeah.
and people are piling onto it so fast. Um, it doesn't cost anything to start developing for it. All the tools are free. Um, there's a free version of Unity. There's a free version of Visual Studio. They both work great for HoloLens development. As long as you're running Windows Professional or Enterprise, you can get the HoloLens emulator. So you can actually somewhat test out your apps. It's not quite the real thing, but at
Mm-hmm.
least you can get in and get some stuff done. Um, and then reach out to the community. There's a huge community of developers out there, and we're so early on that everybody's super friendly and super helpful. So if you need people to test your app or want to try and hook up with somebody who might locally even have one that will let you deploy it on, um, there's a lot of us out here who are more than willing to help other people who may not have a device at this point.
Fantastic. And we haven't even talked about your biggest achievement to date, in my opinion, which is that Jesse actually started the Holo Developers Slack channel. It's a a Slack team for HoloLens developers, and now there's over 500 people now. How
Yeah,
many? Over
yeah,
600 maybe, right?
yeah. We're getting close, if not over 600. We're gaining about 25 a week. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. So Jesse was the mastermind behind that. What made you start that team?
So Microsoft has an official forum for HoloLens development, and when I first started, I was going on there, asking questions, answering questions, and it seemed like I was throwing a lot of stuff over the fence and then hoping that eventually in the next few days somebody would reply or somebody had actually read it
Yeah.
or anything.
Yeah.
And there wasn't any real interaction. There wasn't getting to know anybody, and there wasn't really a community
Hmm.
set up yet. So I
Yeah.
decided that I was going to start one.
Hmm.
Um, I'm a big fan of Slack just because there's so much real time interaction there.
Yep.
And I've been a part of a few other Slack groups for like new developers and stuff.
Nice.
Um, so I was comfortable with that model, and so I decided I was going to start one. So I started the Holo Developer Slack group, and I kind of posted it out to Twitter, and I had a few people join here and there. And it was kind of slow starting out, and then Alex Kipman found it and retweeted one of my tweets about it,
Uh-huh.
and like the floodgates opened. Like
Nice.
after he tweeted it, I think I gained like 100 members in like 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Wow. The power
it's
of the
kind of been
tweet.
growing. Like, yeah, exactly. So it's kind of been growing since then. And the nice thing is that we've got a lot of prominent members in the community who are out there and also encouraging people to join. Jason Odom, who writes for Next Reality, is a big proponent, and I know he
Nice.
mentions the group a lot in his articles and whatnot. So
Nice.
we're starting to see a lot of traction
Yes.
in
So
there.
I'll post a link to the Holo Developers Slack team on the YouTube description. I don't think it's on there right now, but I'll definitely post that. So if anyone's new or if anyone is a HoloLens developer right now and you're not already part of the team, or if you want to learn more, the Holo Developers Slack team, it's definitely a plus. I'm actually part of it, Jesse, and I I probably abuse it more than I should. I'm on there every day.
I got my email this week of the stats, and I still was the person who talked the most last
Oh,
week.
really?
So you got to keep trying if you're going to try and beat me.
That is awesome. Wow. So where do you see the future? So where do you see yourself going from here? And also where do you see mixed reality in general going in the next, I don't know, 5 years?
Yeah, so it's very rare to get in on the ground floor of a technology anymore. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
um, kind of .NET and C Sharp was the last time that we've really had an opportunity to do so, which was actually before my development time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was super excited that I'm kind of getting in on the ground floor of this technology, and I think that Microsoft has a good vision with this. And if people out there are looking at this, and there was an article last week about how Microsoft has cut V2 and they're going to push V forward a little bit, but it's still going to be a couple years before we see a new revision of the HoloLens. Don't be discouraged by that. The
Mm-hmm.
HoloLens itself is not Microsoft's play.
Mm-hmm.
Their play is the holographic platform.
Yep. That's right.
And
And we
so,
should be seeing devices come out this year, right?
yep.
Hopefully.
So yeah, so there's 5 or 6 OEM manufacturers that are going to be putting out devices that run the holographic platform. And the nice thing about the platform is that um, you write your application against it, and that's what our HoloLens applications right now are working against is the holographic platform. So
Mm-hmm.
this is nothing new
Mm-hmm.
to people who are already developing for HoloLens. But you write it for the HoloLens, and it's supposed to just work on all these other headsets.
Yep.
The ones that are announced right now are more of the VR style, fully enclosed headsets.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just, I think, the tip of the iceberg for what's coming down the pike
Yep.
on this.
Yep.
So that's really where the future of this is, and I'm super excited for it. I filled out another application with a bunch of I don't know answers for one of the new dev kits. They're supposed to be shipping out here in the next couple days, so I'm
Oh
waiting to hear
yeah.
back on that. And but I think it's the nice thing about these new headsets is they're going to be a lot cheaper than the HoloLens. Thank God.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Three
they're
hundred
talking.
dollars instead of three
Yeah,
thousand, right?
yep, exactly. Which means that you know my friends might be buying them for their kids for Christmas,
Yes.
and so that was one of the reasons that I decided to kind of go part time at my old job and go full time doing development right now.
Mm,
Is kind of trying to be in front of that wave when it starts to break and
yes.
hopefully ride it for a while.
It's coming soon. So yeah, so like you said earlier, for everyone who's on the fence, don't wait. Like now is the time, right? You don't
Yep,
want to be get kind of get lost in the frenzy. You want to be ahead of the curve.
yep, exactly. So,
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, that's really good. You've got such an amazing story with, not only how you started, but what you've done for the community and, starting your software and what you're doing with your job and just the future. It's just amazing and I think it's definitely going to inspire a lot of people. Do you have any kind of last words, last tips or advice for people
oh,
watching?
yeah, I would just, like I said, get started and don't be afraid to reach out to the community. There's a lot of resources out there, and a lot of tools that can really kind of jumpstart your development. We haven't really mentioned the whole toolkit. That's something that I use in every project. Just a lot of utilities and pre-made stuff that you can drop straight into your project that helps out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Slack group is great. I'm on there almost all the time. Um,
You're a huge help to the community. I would arguably
all
say you're
hours
the
of the
number one
night.
help to the
So
community.
feel free to reach out to me yeah, um, and forums there's just so many resources out there, and I expect a lot more here. GDC's this week, and then Build is in a couple months,
Hmm.
which I'll be going to Build as well. I'm hoping that we see a lot of announcements around holographic there. So
Yep.
um, exciting times coming up. So again, don't hesitate and don't wait.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, thank you very much, Jesse. It was great to have you on. And again, this is Jesse McCulloch. He's the owner of Rourke Software, also the founder of the Holo Developers Slack channel. If you wanna, if you're a HoloLens developer, you want to get into it, do join the Slack channel. I'll be posting a link to the video description. If you want a HoloLens app made, talk to Jesse. I've got a link to
Yep,
his company in the video
please.
description. And if you're watching live and you didn't get to see the beginning, the recording will be up on YouTube. So thanks again, Jesse. This was really fun. I love hearing your story. It's so inspiring. And yeah, best wishes to the future. It sounds like you've got a bright path ahead of you.
Thanks, Sean.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.